I think this client is definitely interested in trying to develop the property. Now, if we have to proceed where we have a part of it applied to with the city and a part of it applied to with the county, I don't know what that development's going to look like. It's going to look a little different, you know, obviously, because we've got at least two masters of that. And so that's why we'd like to get it all before the city. We understand there are concerns with drainage, concerns with traffic, concerns with all of that. Those all have to be shown that they're being addressed as part of that development process. If they're not addressed, the project can't be approved. We get that. But what we're asking today with the annexation is let us do that one time before the city commission rather than doing a part of it with the city and part of it with the county.
You can remember, and a lot of us can remember, even who was at the Coliseum, as this annexation and what was going to be developed and brought on that property. And I think there's over 1,600 person that were against the annexation, what you were trying to promote, hotel and all of that. I have to include that still in my question, although you're trying to come to another way or another approach about the development will be annexed in, but once they get annexed in, then what will stop you from doing the things that a lot of these citizens do not desire to have?
Well, if what the property owner desires to do with his property is allowed by the land development regulations, then the client is allowed to do that. And just like everybody else in Suwannee County and the city of Live Oak, you're allowed to do with your property what is allowable under the land development regulations and the building code. And I think they will, if the annexation's not approved, then they'll figure something else out to do with the property if they can't do this. I mean, they can still do this with part of it being applied in the city and part of it being applied in the county. But those are just decisions they'll have to make. But I do want to be clear. I mean, they own a piece of property like all of you own a piece of property. When you buy a piece of property, you're allowed to develop that property and use that property in compliance with the relevant land development regulations and codes, and that's your right. And so that's what they want to do. I think when we actually file the application, though, like let's assume that either way, whether it's annexed or not, we actually file the application, your staff is going to look at those issues that that people are concerned about, being traffic and drainage and all of those types of things. And if we can't show we can meet those, then I would assume we wouldn't grant the development permits. But what today is, do we do an application with part of it with the city and part of it with the county, or do we do one application with the city? That's kind of where we are.
So county and city own this property, am I correct? Oh, you all own the property, but a certain portion. How much is in the city?
The bulk of it's in the city. 13 acres is outside of the city. That's what we're asking to annex. I think it's, I don't know off the top of my head, 15 some odd acres in the city, and so that would include the whole development.
Any further questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Reeves. I'll just go in order of that you signed in, and then if you want to speak that you swore in, and I don't have you down the list. Ms. Carolyn Spillator.
Now, excuse me, I understand what they're wanting to do.
You introduce yourself, Ms. Carolyn.
I'm sorry.
I know you, but
I know most of you too. I'm Carolyn Spillator.
thank you.
I live here in Live Oak. I've been here for 48 years, so I consider it my home. I've been a real estate broker well, I've been in real estate 55 years, but I've been a broker for 45 years. I can understand what they're wanting to do with bringing this 13 plus acres in, because there's a definite division. In the city, they may only be able to put small lots in this property. In the county, where it's at, it may be 1 acre lots, it might be 5 acre lots, which would take away a lot of what they're trying to do. I live 1 mile west of the Armory. Used to, you could drive to the stop sign at the end of our street and turn right out on 136. I sat there the other morning for 14 cars coming into town. You can't get out. And I mean, this was not in rush hour. It was not in the morning. It was not in the afternoon. It was in the middle of the day. Our roads on 136 cannot handle a big development. And I just don't think the city needs to annex another 15 acres in there to let something just bring more people. And this is, I got this from somebody else, I don't know, but I understand that the property, was it on Bass Road, that they were wanting to build a big development there. I was told DOT turned it down because 51 could not handle the traffic. If 51 couldn't handle the traffic, 136 certainly cannot handle the traffic. And I just don't think it needs to be annexed in. That's my opinion, and I was at that meeting of the policy. And I hate to say this, but some of the people that were at the meeting representing the owners had no idea what they were talking about. They were going to put a retention pond in. Okay? If you're going to put the retention pond in, he said, we're going to build a berm around it. Well, if you put a retention pond in and you're building a berm, the water can't go into the retention pond. They said they didn't know that. Well, if they don't know what they're doing, they don't need to be here. I'm sorry, that's just my opinion, and I hope I'm speaking for a lot of people in here. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chandler?
Mr. Chairman, I'd request to be the last to speak on this issue, please.
Sure. Ms. Elsie Cerritos?
My name is Elsie Cerritos, 12767 92nd Terrace. We are actually behind their property. We have the old Mr. Gill's old place. So I know and I understand what he's talking about. We also have a piece of land inside of the city and the other in the county. And what they're trying to do, there is land for sale in Libo for those purposes, for building multi-houses, more houses than in an acre. I know it because I've been here and I've been in the county asking. So my point with this is, one day that land will be sold and those houses will be built, the ones that are already designated for that. If we start doing that, then my husband can ask, okay, then put our 50 acres inside of the city because we have 4 inside of the city. And what is going to happen then? This will send the precedent for what we're going to do in the future. It's very important. The way that the life is in Libo is very unique, and I treasure it. I love this town like my own. And if my husband wants to do something in the future, he's always thinking, we're going to keep it the way that it should be. For us, for our children, for our grandchildren, for the people that have built the town. It's not just this one lot. We're going to have a Miami if we start doing that. This will continue. My land will be part of the city. Then the next one will want to be part of the city. When is it going to stop? The division is done in a way thought of from the very beginning so that it would work for the people, that the people will have the way of living that we love to have. So I'm opposed to this, and I hope that you think of your own way of living and in the way of living that your children will have and your grandchildren when they are in our situation. Thank you.
Right, any others that want to speak before Mr. Chandler closes us out? I know some more people raise their hand. That was Cheryl. Okay.
Cheryl Cook at 125 Second Street Northwest. I understand exactly what's going on because I have lived through it, moving out of Orange County, Florida, and Orlando, how it is, it ruins. That's all I can say. And I understand this isn't about 13 something, 13.74 acres. It's not about that. It's about what you can get once you get in. I definitely oppose it, and I will say to Tommy Jefferson, I thank him that the questions that he asked, to let people know what really is going on here. This is my community, and I work hard for it, and I love it, and I don't want to. That's why we live here, is because we got out of it. I go back to my sisters in Lake County. Lake County's been ruined by such as this. I mean, you know, all the animals are getting run out of their territory. She lives in the city, has a big bear in her backyard. Possums, coons, everything, because I have no place to go. And it really grieves me. I don't know. I'm just asking y'all. I'm not talking to them. I'm asking y'all to take us as constituents. You know, when you make your vote, because you know what they're in for. The love of money is the root of all evil.
Mr. Clever?
Still Moses Clifford. I hate to repeat it, maybe say it a different way, but the three primary concerns, of course, is the traffic, drainage, and crime, the undesirable aspects of annexing this in. What I'm thinking is it's not quite maybe as undesirable in some ways, but this could, what if, and I don't know the court codes and all, what if after they get it annexed in, they want to put a strip club in there, you know? I know that the people wouldn't want that in there. The people I associate with in this town wouldn't want that in there. Right next door there is Terra Trace. I was shocked by the developers. You know, they weren't very concerned about those folks buying them houses. And I see the cars underwater, you know, during the storm. One thing, I truly hope that y'all block this, and I know that they're saying, you know, if y'all don't let us do it, we'll go to the county and all this. I appreciate Mr. Jefferson also putting it out the way he did. I mentioned when I was up here before that it's like you let the head of that mouse or rat in there, he'll get that whole fat, ugly body in there. And that's what's going on here. This is y'all's easy opportunity to block this thing. Are y'all allowed to talk about it, like what they're going to develop? Maybe not, I don't know. But if by chance y'all decide to go against your constituents and vote this thing in, please at least make conditions on it that you do a pre-traffic survey, and then once they get in there fully opened up, do a post one, make them resolve the traffic back to neutral as where it was before they got in there, and also with the flood mitigation, same thing. Make sure that they don't negatively impact, at least on those two aspects. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else before Mr. Chandler speaks? All right, Mr. Chandler.
Next.
Yeah, go ahead.
May I ask a question for our planning and zoning, Mr. Curtis? And Mr. Moses said something that kind of piqued my curiosity. For as getting things back the way they were, setting condition, that's my word. I don't know if this board do it or planning and zoning board do it, can set the conditions on such situation.
I would say that when an application is brought to you for a land use and zoning change by an ordinance, that type of request could be approved with conditions added. I don't know that an annexation can have that because we don't have local code that covers annexation. It's a state, it's covered by the Florida statutes at the state level. Whereas the land use and zoning, we have a comprehensive plan and land development regulations that governs those decisions, and it does say that conditions can be added. The planning board can make recommendations for conditions. Ultimately, it's the city council that decides whether to approve with those conditions or even different ones than was recommended. So,
Okay. Yep. Mr. Collins?
Before I get started, is there anything I can't say since I'm on the planning and zoning board? I don't want to get myself in a
Be a
pickle.
question for the attorney.
Just, I'm a citizen, just
If
represent myself.
you're speaking as a citizen,
Yeah.
then we should be fine.
Okay. Adam Collins, 206 Wall Street
Yes,
Northwest.
he was. He's sworn.
You swore in?
Oh, yeah, I stood up. That's
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I've looked at this thing since the little get together at the Coliseum, what have you. And we talked about growth, but we also talked about smart growth. I've heard that thrown around a lot, and yes, an annexation isn't an approval. It isn't anything but bringing land into the city. But what's the point? Why would you want your land annexed into the city to increase your taxes and not do anything, and not maximize profits? I mean, I dealt with my cousins that tried to develop that property on Bass Road. They're multimillionaires. They're trying to maximize their profit on a piece of property where they don't live. It doesn't affect them. They live in Jacksonville. Same situation here. I don't know where these people live, but I know the developers, when I spoke to them, I said, is this a phased project? Like, nope, we want to do it all at one time. So you got a hotel with a lot of transient people, and this isn't a resort town. Who's going to come stay in the hotel? I've been around hotels. They're open at all hours of the night. They have people coming and going all hours. It would change the makeup of the neighborhood completely. So by annexing it in, you don't approve a site plan when there's stand-up, but you grease the wheels. I use that term to point out that it starts the process. And every time you move it along the process, more money gets put in, engineers get hired, studies get done. As money gets spent, pressure starts getting exerted. So you could, like I said, nip it in the bud right now. It doesn't help the character of our city now that we know the intent of the development. Because if there was no intent, then we wouldn't know. It's just an annexation. Increase the tax money coming in. Yeah, great, but why increase tax money when we've got some inherent structural issues with how money is spent and roads and infrastructure? So things that need to be taken care of before the city keeps expanding indefinitely. And this is the way to keep that development on the property low, since it is cut by county, city-county boundary. This is a way to keep it stifled from what they want to do, which is maximize their profit, which is understandable. People that own property, they should be able to do that. But we are the stopgap. Y'all represent the people. We are the community. It is the overwhelming desire that this not happen. So developers want to maximize profit. People that live in the community want to have the general welfare and safety and the overall makeup of their community maintained. Live Oak will always be small, hopefully, because people are moving here because of that. But if it changes, it becomes like where they were, Miami or wherever. I was just there this past weekend. I don't want Live Oak to be anywhere near a suburb of Miami. It's horrible. Everybody that moved here likes that how it is. And we need growth, but it needs to be smart. And this development is not smart growth, so we can get in front of it by not annexing it. I would say that's what we should do.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
if I may, can I speak as a citizen before Mr. Chairman?
absolutely.
Okay, Cody?
Are you sworn in?
I will.
Yes.
I was stating everything. No, I ain't talking about me.
Oh, he's got to be. He wants to speak as a citizen.
swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. My name's John Gill, Pittsburgh, and this property backs up to my home, that I was born and raised. And I see a lot of people that I've lived with all my life, and I can see by their reaction, they're happy to see me standing here. I'm speaking on their behalf. This is not something that we need. If it was single-family homes, I'd be all for it. We can get in several, 20 homes, plenty enough. But what we're talking about doing is strain on our roads, on our community, on our fire, our police. It's everything that this is looking to do is more than what the city can handle. And I'm not for it, and that's just my personal opinion.
Anybody else before Mr. Chandler goes? All right. Yes, sir.
Could I have people stand who are against the ordinance 1532? Would you please stand? Okay, this is your constituency. They're from all over. They're not just District 3 where Mr. Alford is. Thanks, everybody. You can have a seat. You've got to vote nay on this tonight. If you do not, if this gets passed and it goes for a second reading in May, you're going to be looking at this every day. Landis Evans is going to go back to Tampa. Patel Group is going to move on to their next one. You know, we're going to annex, and they're going to try to get all this other stuff, which it's going to have to come back to you. But you're going to have to be dealing with this. If you pass it now, get it out of the way. Let them come back again if they want. If they want to come back with some other plan, let's talk about annexing again. But this is wrong. All of us know, your moms, your dads, your Sunday school teacher told you there's no right way to do a wrong thing. This will completely, this thing goes 400 feet from my front door. And that's going to be every day. All right, unless we annex this, you know, if you annex this, we're going to be waking up in our beds every morning while Landis Evans and the Patel Group take their money and run. They're going to be absentee